What did your mom do that became the stuff of legend? My mom was a school custodian for 15 years at Lincoln Elementary. Everyone loved her. She knew every kid's name, always had Band-Aids ready, and stayed late to help teachers set up their classrooms. She'd find lost lunch money, comfort homesick kindergartners, and somehow always appeared whenever a kid was having a meltdown. But the new principal, Mrs. Crawford, hated that the kids ran to my mom instead of the office when they got hurt. She thought it made her look bad and undermined her authority. Crawford was one of those power-hungry administrators who saw kindness as weakness. For months, she'd been making passive-aggressive comments about staff staying in their lanes and proper protocols. Mom ignored it because she cared more about the kids than office politics. One Tuesday morning, a second grader named Tommy fell off the monkey bars during recess and was crying with a badly scraped knee. Blood was dripping down his leg, and he was that kind of scared crying that breaks your heart. My mom was mopping nearby and immediately dropped everything to help him. She was gently cleaning his cut with a wet paper towel, talking to him in that soft voice she used when I was little. When Mrs. Crawford came storming across the playground like a woman possessed. "Step away from that child immediately," she snapped, loud enough for other kids to hear. "You're not trained for medical situations. Send him to the nurse's office right now." Mom looked up, still kneeling next to Tommy, and calmly explained that the nurse was at lunch and wouldn't be back for 20 minutes. Tommy was scared and bleeding, and she was just trying to help. Crawford's response was pure cruelty. "I don't care if he's bleeding out on this playground. You're a janitor, not a caregiver. If I see you touch another student for any reason, you're fired on the spot." She then made poor Tommy, still crying and bleeding, walk all the way across the school to sit alone in the empty nurse's office. Other kids watched in horror as their favorite adult was humiliated for trying to help. But here's what Crawford didn't know. My mom had been secretly documenting every cruel, petty thing she'd done since arriving. The way she screamed at kids for running in hallways, denied bathroom breaks as punishment, threw away their artwork if it was left out, and made teachers cry during staff meetings. Mom had photos, dates, witness names, everything. She'd been building a case because she knew someone needed to protect these kids from this woman's power trips. That afternoon, Mom made a phone call to Tommy's dad to check on him and casually mentioned what happened. What she didn't know was that Tommy's dad wasn't just any parent. He was the district superintendent who'd hired Crawford just 6 months earlier. The conversation lasted 2 hours. By the end, Mom had sent him her entire documentation file. Photos of Crawford screaming at children, recordings of her berating teachers, witness statements from other staff members who were too scared to speak up. The next morning, Mom arrived at work to find 3 district officials waiting in the parking lot. Crawford was called to an emergency meeting at 7 a.m., and by 8:15, she was being escorted out by security while clutching a cardboard box. As the news spread through the school, something magical happened. Every single teacher, staff member, and student who could lined the hallways. When Mom walked through those doors, the entire school erupted in applause that lasted 5 minutes. Kids were hugging her legs, teachers were crying, and even the toughest 6th graders were cheering. The district apologized publicly and gave Mom a commendation for protecting student welfare with extraordinary dedication. Tommy's parents sent her flowers every week for the rest of the school year. And the best part, the new principal's first official act was creating the Mrs. Johnson Award for staff members who go above and beyond for students. Sometimes the person who cleans up the biggest messes isn't holding a mop.